You know, this room isn't really all that bad at all. I mean, yeah, it's much more smaller, but it just feels good. I mean, I would go as far to say that this entire room is an underrated video game room. Well, I should probably stop the video then, should I? When a video game is presented to you right before your very eyes, it could either turn out to be one of the best games of all time, or something that is described as a lump of dog manure. But there are some games out there that might not be the best games ever made, but they are definitely worth a try. And then we have the forgotten games, or more importantly, the underrated games. The ones that really deserves much more attention. So today, we're going to be looking at my top 10 underrated video games. One game per franchise, and let's give these games the respect they deserve as we start off with number 10. I have a little confession to make. I'm not really a huge fan of Sonic. I didn't play the original Sonic games back in the day, and even hearing about him, my mind was already too focused on Crash Bandicoot, so I couldn't really care less. I did play that Sonic tennis game, but that was only once and I played it for a good couple of hours. But then, earlier this year, I tried out Sonic's All-Star Racing Transformed, and man, this game is good. Now, the reason why this game is on the list is because I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about this game. But they should! Fast-paced racing with different variety of characters and mini-games to try out. If I said before that I'm not really a fan of Sonic, well, this game is onto a good start to changing my mind. Now, here's something that not many people would recognize. This is R.U.S.E, a real-time strategy game where you can control tanks, aircraft, soldiers, and build yourself an army. I always went to a retail store called Video Easy back in the day, and every time I see this game, I pick it up and take it with me to my console. While the story is pretty forgettable, but the main highlight of this game is the gameplay. You have to always think twice and look around your surroundings, otherwise you could end up in a losing position. If you're into strategy games, then this one might be worth checking out. It is true that I am a huge fan of racing games. I always love passing through all the races and finishing in first place by a miracle. Now, one of the racing game series I've always wanted to try out is the Destruction Derby series, and after playing the second installment, I'm surprised not many people talk about this game. This game to me was way ahead of its time, featuring some cool track designs and an awesome kick-ass soundtrack. And because it has the word derby in it, you would think there would be a bit of destruction. And you're damn right it does. Just look at all the chaos that's happening. This is outstanding, especially for a game that's released between 1996 and 1997. I should probably finish off the Ratchet and Clank series this year. Which reminds me, what game am I up to? maybe another time. When it comes to underrated Ratchet and Clank games, there is one game that does come into my mind. Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus. Yeah, it's not the best Ratchet and Clank game, but for a time where the series was going downhill thanks to All for One and Full Frontal Assault, Insomniac Games realized that this was not what fans wanted. What they wanted was some good old third-person shooting with some platforming and some nice weapons up your arsenal. Even though this game goes on for a good 3 to 4 hours, it still maintains a fun experience for any Ratchet and Clank fan to get into. Man, you gotta love Stuart Little. I would probably say the movie is underrated and really deserves more attention. It does have some noticeable actors like Nathan Lane, Michael J. Fox, and that kid who played as George. And by the way, this is him now. Feel old yet? Okay, I am rambling on a bit. Stuart Little 2 takes the gameplay features that made Super Mario 64 successful and puts it into this game. Despite being a game focused on kids, this game does what it needed to do. Fun exploring, tons of mini-games to try out, and some cool platforming. Before people were saying this game makes you feel like Batman, back in the day, I'm guessing everyone was saying, this game makes you feel like a mouse. And indeed, it does. Okay, time to select an underrated Crash Bandicoot game, but which one? This took me days just to find out which game suits in the category. I could have selected Crash Bash, cause even though it's pretty much a Mario Party clone, but it does it in its own unique way. And I could have selected Crash Tag Team Racing, cause while the game is uninspiring and lacking replay value, it is cool to blow up cars in your path. But at the end of the day, there was one Crash game I thought about. Crash Mind over Mutants. I know what some people would be saying. Ugh, Crash Mind over Mutants? It's not a good Crash game because it has the Titans in it. Wah! Guys, I know it's not a good Crash Bandicoot game, but if you look at it as a 3D beat-em-up game, it's not that bad. The gameplay is like Crash of the Titans, only better improved with a combo multiplier and storing your favorite Titan. Overall, it's not a good game by any means, but for what it was worth, Mind over Mutants is a fun game to beat up bad guys. Next up is Rayman, and I'm not talking about the movie Rayman, but more discussing about the video game Rayman. At the time before Ubisoft became a corrupt business that just loves the word microtransaction, they had to prove to themselves why they belong in the video gaming industry. They presented the world to Rayman, and boy oh boy, this is a really fun platform game. You can just tell that the visuals are incredible. Everything looks so beautiful that it even makes the flowers want to jump around. Except for that flower. That one still haunts me to this very day. No. I refuse to turn genocide! Okay, that was a little bit weird, but anyway, believe it or not, but this game was released in 1995. 1995, and it gives us this kind of quality? Now that is impressive. While Rayman isn't as popular like Crash, Spyro, or Mario, but if you wanted to get into the character Rayman, this game is a good start. Now, when you look at this game, it kind of feels like it's a game for kids, right? Well, it's actually much more than you'll expect. Again, much like Stuart Little 2, Toy Story 2 takes the formula from Super Mario 64 and applies it to its own style. You play as Buzz Lightyear and he plays really well for its time. And it's also cool to play as a toy and exploring around the huge environments like in Andy's house, for example. And did you know, the company that made this game is Traveler's Tales? I know, right? The same group that made Finding Nemo and The Wrath of Cortex made a good game in Toy Story 2. To anyone who's a fan of platform games, definitely try this game out and I promise that you won't be disappointed. Oh, so that's why Square Eye Jack mentioned that this game is underappreciated. I love the old Looney Tune episodes. Funny, nice cartoon visuals, and features one of the most memorable lineup of characters you'll ever witness. It does seem like Looney Tunes is getting talked about again, thanks to Big Chungus, and I'm still waiting for my limited edition of Big Chungus 5 for fuck's sake. But one of the Looney Tune games I really love playing is Sheepdog and Wolf, or Looney Tune Sheep Raider for those living in America. Sorry. It does look like a platformer, but it's actually more like a puzzle game. The idea is to capture sheep and don't get caught by the dog. Simple, but very addicting. Catchy soundtrack, nice graphics, smart gameplay, what more could you ask for? Except for my copy of Big Chungus 5! All these games you saw today are worth trying out. But out of all the games I've mentioned, there is one game that I personally feel that is truly underrated. But before we check that game out, here is a few or in other words, honorable mentions. Yep, not only I think this is one of my favourite childhood games, but it's also one of my personal underrated video games I ever played. It's not the best game I've played, but it does have a very nice charm. And the movie itself, in my opinion, is so good that no words can be described. The Emperor's New Groove game is filled with nice level designs and a smooth soundtrack. The developers who made this game was called Acronaut Software, the same people that made the Croc series, mind you. This is not only a good game, but a good underrated video game as well. And that was my top 10 underrated video games. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if there are any other games that you feel that is personally underrated, feel free to comment down below. But until next time, thank you for watching this Can't even do this, I can't do it. Thank you for watching this top 10 video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, share the video, and subscribe today. My name's Cheese and Crackers, telling you to keep calm and keep playing video games.